I don't remember any of it.
You don't remember?
For you, the day bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Welcome to the Rated G for Gamers podcast, episode 196. Just a reminder before we start that you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Rated G for Gamers. Please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. Also, we are part of the Gaming Podcast Alliance. Check out all of the fine podcasts featured on there at www.gamingpodcastalliance.com if you are looking for more gaming goodness. I'm your host, Dave Rotino, and this is my co-host, Dan, I can't wait for Christmas, Robinson.
What's going on, man?
Oh, it's Christmas. Christmas is coming up real soon, Dan.
Well, wait,
a couple weeks away. Weeks away.
Wait. You mean Christmas 1 is coming up a couple of weeks away?
Yes. Thank you for saying that. I know how hard that was for you to do, Christmas 1, because we all know that Christmas 2 is in that late February to like early April period where all the AAA games couldn't make it for the holiday season, and they come out early next year, which used to be the dead zone. It's where all the stuff that just couldn't make it, all the crap would come out during that time period. Yeah.
So wait, let me ask you a question now.
Mm-hmm.
So you right now, Christmas 1, as you said.
You have
your tree up, or it's going up, right?
Tree is up and bright. It has a ton of lights on it. It is fantastic.
Okay. Do you put a tree up for Christmas too?
Put a tree up for Christmas too. I shouldn't I? Yeah, bust it out again, right? And getting a lot of use out of that tree. Oh man.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, when people come to your house in March, it's like, why do you have a Christmas tree? I was like, it's Christmas too.
Yeah, man.
Don't you have a tree up?
Yeah. But like speaking of decorations and all that stuff, like I go all out on the tree itself. I do the hard, arduous task of wrapping each and every branch with the lights, which the end result is fantastic, but it takes so much longer to do because you have to like wrap it like 29 times, like around each and every branch of each and every like thing, right? Each like little bit. So it takes so long, but it looks great. And I got to show it off to a bunch of coworkers and I haven't really mentioned this on the show before, but my coworker runs a D&D campaign, right? And we usually do it at work, right? And we all usually stay after on like Tuesdays. That's kind of our game night. We'll spend like 2.5, 3 hours playing D&D, right? And he was like, I want to do a long campaign, right? And I'm like, I want to do something that's going to take a little bit longer than just doing it after work. And I said, well, if you guys don't mind coming to Brooklyn, I wouldn't mind hosting, right? And, you know, everyone seemed to be on board with that. Everybody ended up coming by. We had a nice big, like, D&D night. And, we had all the snacks, the whatever. We ordered food. The drinks were flowing. And we had an amazing campaign. It was a good time. So, shout-outs to my coworker, Jason. I got to give him props on that.
All right, I got a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, I'm a big nerd. Okay?
Yeah. Of course.
I didn't have many friends growing up. Being a big nerd, I didn't have that many.
Of course. Typical as nerds do. I was kind of in that same boat too, so I understand.
Okay, so so my nerddom probably veered left, while yours veered right at some point.
Sure, maybe, yeah.
I say that because I have no idea what D&D is. Like,
well,
if it wasn't for Stranger Things season 3, I wouldn't know what
right.
Is it like Dungeons and Dragons, right? Or something like that?
D&D does stand for Dungeons and Dragons. It is both it is a rule set. It is a whole there's like pre-made campaigns you can run. There are reference books which have all of the monsters and items and mythos and just about everything you can think of. And if it doesn't have it, you can always just like make it up and throw it in the game, right? You can kind of do what you want. You can make up your own weapons and items and this and that. Like if you're running the campaign, which like Jason runs it, he's the dungeon master, and he basically like he goes, okay, well we're gonna get a bunch of people together, right? There's like five in our group who are all playing together, and then there's Jason who's running the campaign. He's the DM, right? And the easy way to do it is to say, I want you guys to play this campaign, right? And it's a pre-made thing, right? And it'll give you like, here's how to run it, right? And you'll kind of like run them through all the different things. They'll probably go through a dungeon. They'll fight a big monster, right? There's a lot of like dice rolling going on. There's a lot of like role playing going on, and then you just kind of go. We started off with a pre-made campaign. It is now like all custom. So Jason goes out of his way to like put all this stuff together. He's incorporated all our characters' backstories. It's incredible, and it is my first time playing D&D. Like actually, as much as I know about it, as much as the video games that I've played, and the stuff on Stranger Things, and tangentially knowing a bunch of people who play, I never actually played it. So this was like my first bit. It's exciting, man. It's exciting.
One day
I feel like
I'm gonna try.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I feel like it's like a real life RPG.
It is. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And you gotta really kind of throw yourself into it. You gotta build a character. Build on that persona.
I am the wizard. I am the wizard.
There you go. You could be like Morlock the wizard or whatever. You be whatever you want.
See, I
you
feel
could
like
be good. You could be bad.
I feel like. I'll get too carried away and cut a WWE promo on somebody.
Listen, man, you can play it how you want. Like if the DM allows it, like you're like, all right, be you. You want to be comfortable in your skin when you're playing that game. When you're
what you
playing
gonna
D&D.
do, brother? When these 20-inch wizard stick run wild on you, I'm the most electrifying man in D&D history.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that because one of my like coworkers took on the persona of Macho Man Randy Savage for one of the scenarios that we got into.
Ooh, yeah.
Because he's like
barbarian and you're
exactly
down.
That's exactly right. He was making all these puns and like he's making all these wrestling jokes. So you can kind of play the character however you want almost. It's great. But yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. It sounds like fun. One day I got it. One day I got to try that.
Okay, I think we can make it happen. I think you'll have a good time. I think you'd have a good time. So
I had a key weekend and. I pretty much just relaxed. I did some cleaning.
Nice.
I played some games, which we'll talk about in a minute. And I actually was super excited because the Black Widow. Well, a couple of trailers. I'm a big James Bond fan. Huge James Bond. Yep. Okay. And I saw that earlier in the week. We won't. We're not going to talk about that. But the Black Widow trailer came out. I was surprised at this because I forgot that they were making the Black Widow movie.
Yeah, this is all like Phase 4 stuff, right?
Yeah. It looks awesome. It's like a superhero espionage flick.
Oh yeah, no, it's kind of like James Bond, except like a little more like hyper. All right.
And speaking of Stranger Things, the cop in Stranger Things, he's in it. He's like
that's right. Hopper, yeah, and he's great.
He's like the great Russian Captain America. I forgot what the character was called.
Right. I want to say like Soviet Strike or something maybe, but I don't think that's right. Yeah.
Something along those lines. He's like
right.
He's like Thor, right? I mean, it's been so long. Thor at Endgame. It's been so long, and he gained a lot of weight.
Yeah, he's trying to get back into the suit, and he's like, still fits.
Still fits.
Yeah. Yeah. So Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying the movie sort of reminds me like if superheroes were in the movie Salt. Remember Salt with Angelina Jolie?
I would like to not, but yes. It was terrible, but...
I liked the movie. I thought the movie was great.
Yeah,
the movie was great.
you enjoyed the movie. It was still not a good movie, though.
I think it was a good movie. I think you know what? See, now you backing me into this corner. Salt is the Order 1886 of movies. I'm sorry.
Oh,
it's not that
boy.
bad.
Oh, boy. Yeah, severely underrated. I know. Yada, yada,
Looks like
yada.
I'm about to go back in time and nominate Salt for movie of the year for 3 years in a row.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you saw, but a bunch of years ago when the Marvel Cinematic Universe, when the MCU was like fever pitch, right? They were just in it, and they were putting out like blockbuster after blockbuster, and they had Scarlett Johansson on SNL, and they did like a fun parody of like, oh yeah, like what if like Black Widow got her own movie, and it was like Black Widow in a romantic comedy.
Oh yeah,
which was ridiculous. I thought that was like a really funny like take on that whole like situation. It's like why is there not a Black Widow movie? And I was like, there is a lot of reasons why there is not a Black Widow movie, but I just thought that was kind of funny. And then there was another one that you hit me to that I totally forgot about like Hawkeye and the Avengers, and how like Hawkeye is kind of useless, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because everyone's got like, if you look at the original Avengers, like Black Widow and Hawkeye together are definitely the weakest. They are not superheroes in any way, shape, or form. They're not the millionaire Tony Stark that can just buy his way into like a super suit. They're not the Hulk that has gamma radiation, enhanced strength. They're not the God of Thunder, you know? So like definitely like on the low end of superpower. So it's like it's kind of hard to.
They really have no superpowers,
right?
In the movies, in the MCU,
right,
not the comics,
right. And I think they really did a good job. Up like Endgame, they really did a good job of incorporating Black Widow and Hawkeye and making them more like useful and prominent characters. Even in like Infinity War too, I thought it was kind of nice how they gave Hawkeye a little bit more. Presence, you know, because he was kind of like a secondary character. So I don't know.
No. You mean Endgame, because he wasn't in Infinity War. Remember?
Was that? Oh yeah, it was Endgame. I guess
that was. Yeah, no, he was in.
That's right. Because it was the beginning with him, and then his family disappeared. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because everyone was like, "Where's Hawkeye?" It was coming to Infinity War.
Well, what was the one? Was it a Civil War that had the backstory, or was it Ultron that had his backstory? I think it may have been Age of Ultron, where he had like, you saw his family and all that, and you know Clinton was kind of like being secluded a little bit.
Because it was at the end of Age of Ultron, and he went to go see it, and he had like a family, went home.
Right.
It's like, wow, he just goes home and has like a family. He just lives. He has a wife and kids, like he's a normal dad.
Yeah. You know.
But Black Widow,
live your life.
The timeline on this is between Civil War and Infinity War, like that's
okay.
Like, so it's like she's on the run because she helped Captain America, right? There's the whole Registration Act.
Oh, that's right.
She was on the side with Iron Man, and then she, sort of betrayed and helped Captain America. So she was like sort of on the run. So I think they said it was in between. It was after Civil War, but before Infinity War. So before Thanos came down. So I'm going to see this movie.
Of course,
it's awesome.
Of course,
and I can't wait.
It's going to be great. It's going to be really good.
It's going to be a celebration of Black Widow, just like today is a celebration of PlayStation.
Yeah.
PlayStation this week the original PlayStation turned 25 years old. The first PlayStation was sold December 4th, 1994.
Wow.
And as a side note, I think I told the story before. I had the choice. I forget what it was for. If I got it for Christmas or right after Christmas. I know I got it around the holidays or after the holidays, around that time. But I had a choice between PlayStation and a Sega Saturn. And yes, it sounds silly now, but back then it was a real choice.
Yeah.
Right? Do you get a PlayStation, like this Sony, the console games that are going to have, or a Saturn, which had the history with the Genesis? But we were burned. I know I was burned because I got a Sega CD. I never got a 32X, but I got a Sega CD for the Christmas before.
Yeah. Sega CD, not great. 32X, terrible. So, they were already losing a little bit of goodwill. The Saturn Saturn, by all accounts, I mean, there's a lot of things that went wrong, but it was a very powerful 2D console. You know, and it did have some great games on it. It had that nice controller. It was one of the first controllers with an analog stick, right, when like Knights came out. So it had a lot going for it, but it did not last long.
I was
like a 2-year console, right? 2-year, 3-year, at most.
So I kind of was leaning towards the Saturn, but my friend that lived across the street, he was getting the Saturn, so I said I'll get a PlayStation, and that's how we can play both. You know, we can play all the games together, right?
Yeah.
It was the best decision I ever made. The young me ever made. The PlayStation.
Right.
So I thought it'd be fun to go back into history, each console, all 4 generations of the PlayStation, and pick what was your favorite game on each console.
Oh boy, that's tough.
Okay, feet to fire. You're on a desert island with each console. You can only have one game. What game would it be? I'll kick us off. I loved Soul Blade.
Oh,
okay, it was neck and neck between Crash Bandicoot 1 and Soul Blade. But Soul Blade,
terrible. One of those games is great.
And one of those games is amazing. So
one of those games is Soul Blade, and one of those games is trash.
It's amazing. So we're not going to talk about that. But Soul Blade, I always, because the big boss, he had the 2 swords, and the swords could take you over and destroy you, or you could destroy the swords and live a peaceful life. And it was one of the only games I had at the time when it first came out. Because it's just that how it is when you're a kid. You don't have time. You don't have money to buy multiple games. You get one game, and that game will be the best game that you play for the next 3-4 months.
Trust me. I have fond childhood memories of making the copy of Karnov that I just got for Easter last. All right.
So Soul Blade, I must have beat it with like almost every character, and I got all the story. I got all the ending stories. So I love Soul Blade.
Yeah, no, I mean it was great. It kicked off the whole Soul franchise. Went from Soul Blade or Soul Edge to Soul Calibur, and then they just took it from there. Yeah,
not Souls.
Well, you know what I mean. Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
All right, so the original PlayStation.
Yeah.
The fire. You're on a desert island. What PlayStation game you taking?
I'm going with the same company, and I'm going with Tekken 3. Come on, Namco could do no wrong. They were great. They put out Ridge Racer. They put out Soul Blade. They put out Tekken 3. My God, is that game good, Dad? I mean, it had my boy Brian Fury. It had my boy Eddie Gordo in there, right? Those are my favorite characters.
So I have more nostalgia for Tekken 1 and 2. I still have my original Tekken 1.
Sure.
Tekken long box.
The long box. Yeah. First one, not great. Part two, much better.
I either rented or I borrowed from a friend part 2. I know I played part 2, but I didn't own it.
Right.
I never played part 3 until I was an adult. So I don't have the nostalgia like you do for part 3, but I can play the original like over and over.
Oh, I played the crap out of it. Me and my friend James, he got a PlayStation. I want to say like 97 maybe or 98, and he had Final Fantasy 7 and he had Tekken 3, and we played the crap out of that game. Like we burned it to the ground. Just everything. We were playing the volleyball mode. We were doing the beat 'em up force mode. We played every character thousands of times. I mean, that game was amazing. Too good. All
right, let's shift gears. Let's go to PlayStation 2. This was a time where I wasn't gaming as much, right? And I primarily bought the PlayStation 2 to play DVDs, to be honest.
Oh yeah. As did a lot of people. It was a big selling point.
I didn't have a lot of games, the PS2 games. Funny enough, at the time I didn't have a lot of PS2 games, but out of my collection, the most games I have is for the PS2. I have like 400 PS2 games. So I loved Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2. So me and my best friend Brian, he would come over. And as soon as he comes over, we're playing Budokai 2. I mean, we played Budokai 1, but then I think I bought Budokai 1 just because Dragon Ball Z, the animated cartoon, was translated to English, and it came over to the States, and it was here playing on Cartoon Network. So I was a big Dragon Ball fan. I was playing Budokai, but then Budokai 2 came out, shortly after I bought Budokai 1, and it had a better overall map of the overall world, and you can skip certain fights. And I thought that was awesome. I was like, oh my god, we're not forced to fight this small time enemy. Like, you have to skip him and go straight to the big guys, right?
Yeah.
And they had more characters, bigger character selection. It had all the stories to that point. And it was awesome. It was just fun memories of him coming over and us playing, taking turns past the controller, doing fights. We never fought. We never did head to head. It was always fighting the story.
Right. Yeah.
We always wanted to beat the story. Sadly enough, I didn't buy Budokai 3 until later on when I became a collector. So
I was gonna say, why didn't you pick Budokai 3, which I would assume would be tons more characters, better graphics, more moves, all that stuff. But Budokai 2 is the one. Yeah,
and overworld is definitely even better. The overall map, definitely better. But Budokai 2 is the one I hold fond memories for, so I could play that game, Desert Island, over and over.
Oh, I understand. So mine are a little interesting, and I cheated slightly because, we're talking about games that are near and dear to our heart. We're talking about
demo disc. You mean the demo disc of all the 3 games that you picked?
Oh yeah, right. No. So I wish they were all on the same demo disc. These 3 games got me through college, man. I mean, SSX Tricky, best in the series. Eco, the best out of that trilogy, the Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, and The Last Guardian, and GTA 3. Me and my friends would just sit around, drink beers on the weekend, and play SSX Tricky and GTA. And then Eco was a game that I would bring into the computer lab. I worked in the computer lab, and I'd work there on the weekends, and they had this nice big projector. So I'd bring in the PlayStation. I'd turn off all the lights. I'd set up the PS2, and I'd just be playing for 4 or 5 hours and getting paid for it. And I was like, it's had to monitor the computer lab so nobody destroyed anything or took anything. And it was that was it. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically,
good times.
So basically, Dave. Feet to fire. You're falling out of the sky. You have a parachute, and these 3 games are falling too. You can only have time to dive and pick one and hit, and then pull your chute, so you could be on your desert island. Which one are you going after?
Oh, out of the 3?
Out of the 3,
I would choose SSX Tricky, Eco, and GTA 3. You can't make me choose, Dan. You can't make me choose. I'm sorry. I don't know. SSX Tricky, maybe. Yeah. SSX Tricky.
I thought you would pick GTA 3.
GTA 3 is great, man. It has hell of a ton of replayability. SSX Tricky is probably one of the best snowboarding games, if not the best snowboarding game of all time. It is very good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tight. So there you go. SSX Tricky. Feet to the fire.
All right. So PlayStation 3.
Yep.
Fun fact.
Yep.
When it came out, I had 2 PlayStation 3s.
Yeah. How'd that work out?
Because I pre-ordered it, and I pre-ordered it. I thought the pre-order didn't go through, so I went to the Sony store and I picked it up. And then a couple of days later, the PlayStation was delivered to my house, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I looked at my credit card statement.
Oops!
$100.
Oh, you messed up, Dan. That's right, because it was 6 out the gate. It was expensive.
Yes. Oof. So I had to sell one to my boss. Thank God my boss had kids. I had to sell one to my boss because I was like, I have 2 and I don't know what to do. So my boss bought it. But I'm glad you asked me about why didn't I pick Budokai 3.
Right.
Okay. I've played all 3 games in the series. And on this one, I'm going to pick the 3rd one, and that is Uncharted 3.
Oh.
Uncharted 1, I really liked.
It was all right. Uncharted 1 was all right. Not the best, but
the mechanics, much to be desired.
Right.
I really loved Uncharted 2. Don't get me wrong. I love Uncharted 2. I love that train sequence. It's iconic. God. It's at the bar for video games at the time. However, the boss battle just much, it was much to be desired. I'm sorry. It left much to be desired. I didn't really dig the last boss battle. Compared to Uncharted 3, where I thought the boss battle was more fulfilling and I got more out of it, and the story was it ended a little bit better. So Uncharted 3 Love that game. I can play that game over and over again. If I'm stuck in a desert island, I can play Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
His last PlayStation 3 hurrah.
Yeah. That's so funny you said that, Dan, because now I never owned a PS3, right? So I was never like in it. I was always an Xbox 360 guy because that's what I could afford, right? And I had that, and a bunch of my friends had the Xbox 360. So it's like, well, I'll get the Xbox 360 so we can all play online. We can all play Halo together, right? That was kind of the reasoning behind it. But Uncharted 2, right, out of that generation, out of that like 7th generation, Uncharted 2, fantastic. For the reasons that you said, that opening sequence just gets you right into the game, right? There's this train that's falling off this like snow-capped cliff, right? You're basically gonna die. You have to like make your way and like get out and survive. I'm like, oh my god, I'm in. Leaps and bounds over the first game, and in terms of like the like initial set pieces, insane. Again, it's like picking one of your children. Which one do you like more? I'm gonna like the baby better, right? The baby is the third one. so I see you like the middle child. I'm going for the baby. I'm picking the baby over my other two kids. Oh Jesus!
I'm sorry.
Can't ask me to make that call, then. I love all my kids equally.
Until you're falling out of an airplane, you got to pull your parachute.
Yeah, that's right. I still take the two kids and then also pull the parachute to make it happen.
All right, let's go to PS4. PS4. This was. I didn't even have to think about this one. This one was easy. I think God of War, the God of War for the reboot / remake for the PS4, amazing. Kratos has more. He has different levels to him as a character. And we get the sort of not cliffhanger, but we sort of get that ending where it's like, oh my god, really? Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil it here. It's still.
No, please don't.
The embargo. I don't know if the embargo is still up. It's only been a year and a half.
Yeah.
So God of War, it's a game of a generation. It's the game of the generation. I'm sorry.
Speaking of the D&D night, one of my like coworkers just beat the game, and I'm like, did you go back home? You got to go back home at the end to see that little extra bit, just like you told me to do. And it was a nice little bit. And he's like, I went back home and God of War, and I was like, aw. He was very happy about that. Yeah, nice little extra Easter egg.
So God of War, that's it for me. What about you?
Well, I'm cheating again, Dan. I'm sorry. I'm cribbing notes here.
Cheater. You're just a habitual cheater.
No. You know what though? It's a testament to every generation of PlayStation that there are so many good games. I don't shower a lot of praise on the PlayStation always. So take this and revel in this. But there are so many good games that it's hard to choose. And the PS4 is also very hard to choose because they put out a killer VR system at a very reasonable price that a lot of people were jumping in on, right? Especially this season too. And some of my favorite games are on VR, like Tetris Effect and the Wipeout Omega Collection, which I just got off playing because it's such a fantastic game. So both of those games. And you can't ask me to choose. I'm taking them both to the desert island. I'm pulling that parachute with both my kids.
You're falling.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry.
One is going to get eaten by a shark.
We're all going to get eaten. I'm sorry. I can't make that choice. I'm taking both. I'm trying to take both. I'm going to die trying. I'm going to be like 50 Cent falling out of that plane.
You know what?
I'm going to die trying.
So I know you well enough. I think you would pick GTA 3 for the PS2, and I think you would pick Tetris Effect.
That is incorrect.
I think you would pick Tetris Effect.
I told you I'd take SSX Tricky.
I know what you said, but I think you would pick GTA 3. And
I just told you what I would pick. All right.
And I know how much you love Tetris, so I think you would pick Tetris Effect. Over Wipeout if you had to choose. Feet the fire. Lose a foot. You're going to lose a foot.
Tetris is like the best game of all time. You can't. That is, when everyone asks what the desert island game is, you say Tetris. right? Because it's infinite replayability. It is the best puzzle game.
I really do. You love Tetris. I really love Tetris. Tetris is my mobile game. I like.
Yeah, man, you can play it on anything. You can play it on your microwave if you want. I've seen people play it on the sides of buildings, right?
Play it on your Alexa.
Yeah, you probably could.
So next week, I'm gonna play for the first time Tetris 99.
Oh, you got to, man! It's great.
For the first time, I'm gonna play. That's what I'm gonna do.
You know, they actually have a physical edition out, right?
I know, and when it's cheaper, I'll buy it.
Yeah, well, that's not gonna happen.
When it's cheaper, I'll buy it.
It's not gonna happen.
Because everything, I know, you know why? Because everything Nintendo just doesn't go down in price much.
No, that's the Switch tax.
Everything goes up.
Yep. Well, I don't know about going up.
It stays.
It never goes.
Maybe it'll go down $10, but and it'll just be $10 cheaper forever.
Right.
But thank God for Nintendo Online, right? Because a lot of those games on Nintendo Online that they have, the NES and SNES games, those games are expensive.
Yep. Yeah.
Those games can be pretty expensive.
That's right.
What's coming up? January's coming up, and January. You know what that means for me, at least. I get to re-up all my subscriptions all in one. I don't have to think about it.
It's the life hack from Dan Robinson.
Yeah, I know. I just know January.
Queue them all up.
I have to spend like $300.
That's the only thing I have to say is the downside of that is that you get a big punch in the gut all at once, but then you're done for the whole entire year. So once you can get past that, you're good. You're golden, and everything is just re-upped. Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. I gotta re-up my Xbox Live, PlayStation Plus, and Nintendo Online service. I was dumb enough when I got it. I told you on the show. I got the 1 month, and then I got the 2 or 3 months, all so we could fit up to January. Then I could buy the whole year.
Oh yeah, of course.
I spent more money that way.
You spent more money in the short run, but it's nice to know that they're all synced up now.
So I used to like the fact that we would get 2 free games, even if it was just NES games. I know a lot of people weren't all about it. I liked it, and then we got the SNES games in September.
Right.
Then they stopped. They said they're no longer going to give 2 games each month, but they're going to give sort of like every quarter, maybe like 4, 5, 6 games, which actually equals up to 2 games a month. But we're just going to get we're not going to get it each month. We're just going to get sort of like a lump sum. And we've got our first taste of our lump sum coming this month. We're going to get 4 SNES games and 2 NES games. However, the SNES games are pretty good. You got Breath of Fire
good.
2.
They're great.
Breath of Fire 2. I know you're a big Breath of Fire fan.
Much better than the first one. First one pretty generic. Part 2 great.
Kirby Superstar.
Yeah, which is good. It's a compilation of a bunch of Kirby mini games.
Super Punch-Out.
Yeah, fantastic.
But much to everyone's surprise, we're getting Star Fox 2. Which tells me a lot, okay? It tells me a lot, because remember, Star Fox 2, unreleased game from 95, 96? 95,
yeah, about
95.
95, 96, yeah.
Yeah, because they didn't release that game, and then they sort of retooled it and made Star Fox 64.
Yep.
However, this was exclusive to the SNES Classic. Okay, and I took pride in having an SNES Classic. It was like it's the only way
unique.
to play Star Fox 2.
Yeah. Well, the only legal way to play it, right? You could get the ROM dump and all that, but I understand what you're saying.
It was only an official way, right?
That's right. That's right.
But this tells me now that, obviously they were going to release it on the NES. Nintendo Online. Obviously they were, but this tells me that the classics are done, right? Because Nintendo had its biggest like Black Friday, Cyber Monday week ever. All right, they sold over 800,000 Switch units.
Over 830,000 units, which I had to look up. You're like, you know how many they sold during the Black Friday weekend, which is like Black Friday to Cyber Monday, which is like a 4-day period. That is insane. That is over 750,000 units in 4 days. Wild.
And it's all contributed to the Switch Lite, really, because it's cheaper. and a lot of people
$100 cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's gonna buy a bunch of those systems.
Yep.
But they why put manufacturing resources into making a N64 classic, right? When you can keep making Switch systems, and you can put out all those N64 games online, like on your Nintendo Online service.
Yeah, I mean, they had these all the way back to the Wii. You could get N64 games from the the Wii Virtual Console or whatever they were calling it back then. They were also on the Wii U, so there is kind of work that's already been done. Obviously, they have to do a little bit of work to get it onto the Switch, but it's there. It's emulated. The Switch can handle it. It has all the appropriate buttons and the analog stick, so it is the right controller for it. Not to mention that Nintendo specifically did say we're not making an N64 classic.
Yeah, but they, what are they going to say, right? I'm sure they did some R&D on it. I'm sure there was definitely a lot of talks and the whatever,
They're like, we'll do a Nintendo, we'll do a Super Nintendo, do we do an N64? It's like, I don't know. Maybe not. And it looks like no.
But they did end all the other they end manufacturing of the SNES and the NES Classic, so that's
finally,
done. Those are done. So I'm pretty psyched. I played a little bit of Star Fox 2.
Mm-hmm.
You had to beat the first level of Star Fox 1 to unlock Star Fox 2 on SNES.
You did, Classic. Yeah.
This would be fun to come back to it and play it a little bit. So I'm looking forward to playing this Star Fox 2.
Well, I mean, you spent all this time talking about the Super Nintendo games, Dan. There are two notable, very good Nintendo games that are also coming out, Crystallis and Journey to Silius. I don't know if you ever played these back in the day or even recently, but they are fantastic. Crystallis, for me at least, was one of the first action RPGs. It was definitely the first action RPG that I really played, right? You could buy armor, weapon upgrades, you gain experience, but it was like an action game, right? You had to kind of run around and avoid monsters and all that. So it was kind of like a nice hybrid of the two, right? And then Journey to Silius, I don't know if you know, but that was supposed to be the Terminator game tie-in. But apparently the company...
That's right, I remember that.
Apparently the company lost the license somewhere halfway through, maybe, and they had to rework it and get rid of all the references to Sarah Connor and the Terminator. It is a very good game, but it is called Journey to Silius, and not the Terminator.
And then they put out a Terminator game that was terrible.
Oh, well, that is LJN classic right there. Oh, the worst company.
They put out a lot of classics back in the day.
Terrible. Yeah, right.
Go watch the Angry Video Game Nerd.
Yeah, he covers all the LGN classics.
So, I'm sure at some point, both of these games are going to be in my pickups list. Going to be in my pickups list.
Yeah, right.
I do not own either of those games.
Right.
But Dave, you get any good Cyber Monday pickups or any good pickups this week?
I got some pickups, Dan. I got some pickups. I picked up Slay the Spire for the Switch. I picked up Travis Strikes Back, No More Heroes for the Switch.
Completely average game. Hope you got a good price on it.
I did. It was actually on sale, $10 off. So I got like 33% off.
Okay.
Which is pretty solid. I picked up Jack and Jill DX for the PlayStation 4. Right.
Is it like DX, like WWE? Like, are you ready?
It is not. It is DX as in deluxe, as in the ultimate version in this case, right? Extra levels, I'm assuming, or whatever, just more content in the game. I'll talk about what it is in just a sec, because it is a game that I've been playing this week. Jedi Fallen Order. Finally picked up Jedi Fallen Order for the Xbox One. And the most important game of the bunch, Dan, Vegas games for the Wii. That was a $2 pickup.
Everybody got to have the Vegas games.
That's right. It's a $2 pickup at GameStop. It was the best purchase. It is the best game in my collection right now. Let's go.
It's better than Super Mario World, Super Mario Brothers, and Super Mario World.
That's right. That's right. It blows Tetris out the water.
Blows Tetris. You're funny. So I totally forgot. Every year I go on Square Enix's website. They always have like Cyber Monday, Black Friday.
Yeah, you
on their old, like even old games, like brand new PlayStation games.
Yep, you hit me to this. You hit me to this last year, and I went on this year, and there was definitely some good stuff, but it was still very expensive, and I didn't want to shell out a ton of money. I didn't see the super cheap games on there, and then lo and behold, you find the good deals.
I found a bunch of good deals. So I got a bunch of brand new sealed games.
Oh yeah,
systems. So
nice.
I got Space Bust a Move. What a name for the DS, sealed. I don't know much about that game. I just know that it has the Bubble Bobble characters on the art.
Oh yeah. Well, like Bust a Move was in Japan, it was called Puzzle Bobble. And it's just like it's a match 3 or match 4 game. I think it's a match 3 game, and you just kind of like position the bubbles so they like get up into the upper area and you make combos. It's a very good game. And then Space is just like the latest DS version or whatever it is. And
then I have a game I hadn't even heard of before. It's the Legend of Kaj.
Legend of Kage, I think is how you pronounce it.
2. Yeah, it's Kage 2. For the DS.
The sequel to the Nintendo 86, 87 maybe. Very, very, very interesting game. I both love and hate the original.
Well, you know what? Now I have to pick it up.
Yeah. I did not know they made a sequel to it, honestly, so I'm going to be picking up the sequel. Yeah, right? Many years later. 30 years later.
Then I picked up Lord of Arcana, PSP. It's an RPG, but when I looked it up, I was like, it looks like a game that I can get into, like an action RPG.
Oh, nice. So, much like Crystallis.
Got that. I have that. And then I got a game. I didn't even know this existed. This is Final Fantasy Chronicles, which is really Final Fantasy 4.
And Chrono Trigger.
All in the same...
That's right.
On the same package, on the same disc.
That's right.
Dual disc.
Yep.
So,
They did Anthology was the first one, which was 5 and 6. First time 5 was ever released stateside and localized. And then they decided to do 4 and then Chrono Trigger. With all of them have cutscenes, right? Chrono Trigger has anime cutscenes, and Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6 have CG cutscenes, and I was over the moon. That stuff was amazing.
So I'm happy to have that in the collection. Didn't even know that existed. Have it brand new sealed. Got every game for $5 a piece.
Nice. Good price.
So Dave, as we always try to start the show but epically fail, what have you been playing?
Oh, Dan. Favorite part of the show. We all know this. You know this. I know this. I am over the moon. I have been playing many of the games that came out this year, like Jedi Fallen Order. And my God. Speaking of big set pieces, speaking of like, let's get you interested, let's get you engaged in the game right away. Jedi Fallen Order has one of the best opening cinematics or scenes, right? You get to like play out. Like there's like a very, very, very small, here's how to play the game. And then you're on this train and shit goes crazy. And I'm like, okay. Like I was at the edge of my seat playing this opening area. It was great. So I'm not very far in it, but so good.
What difficulty are you playing it on?
I'm playing on hard, man. Come on.
Of course you are.
Come on, I'm playing on hard.
All right, so you're not going to finish this.
I'm not having trouble with the game. It's fine right now. I'm not playing on the hardest difficulty, but I'm playing one notch down. All right. They tell you they have the little sliders. They tell you what the difficulty is going to change, and a lot of it is due to like the timing, right? Because I remember you saying like you have to parry, you have to kind of block at the right times, like. There's it's not a button masher, exactly.
Oh, no.
Right?
Yeah. Oh no. You have to be skilled.
Yeah. And I'm sure it gets even crazier as it goes, but I'm loving it right now. So as like there was a ton of games that came out this year that were game of the year potential. I'm like, I should buy these games. I should play these games. So that's like kind of what I'm doing.
Do me a favor.
Yeah.
Please beat this game. I want to hear, because I want to talk to you I want to talk to you about the end.
Of course.
Ending sequence. Of course.
All right. All right.
Like, I'm itching to talk to somebody about this ending sequence.
All right. So I am also playing Slay the Spire for the Switch, which is a roguelike card game. The roguelike element comes with the route that you choose, right? You have an overworld map, you choose one of your starting points, and then the paths kind of like branch in and out, and you don't necessarily know what each section is going to be, right? So it could be a battle, could be a treasure chest, it could be a whatever, could be like a boss battle, which is great. And like you get a set of cards, and as you like go through to the boss and you beat the boss and you do it again, you have the opportunity to get like more cards that you can combine together to make different combos. It's insane. Very good game. Highly digging it, and I get to play it on the go, so I can just kind of like pop in, pop out, which is great. I also have been playing. Well, I also been playing Control, which is bananas. Control is a very wild game, right?
You have those force powers.
Yeah. Speaking of like being a Jedi, right? You get right into it. Also been playing Mortal Kombat 11, which
fantastic fighting game.
Yeah, you gotta be able to like rip somebody's spine out, and then
get over here.
And then the aforementioned Jack and Jill DX, which looks just like a Kirby game from the Game Boy era, but it's like.
Question about Jack.
Yeah.
Do you go up a hill?
Wow, Dan. Wow. I don't know which is worse. The fact that it took me a second to get your bad joke, or the fact that you made such a bad joke that I am hurting inside right now. I don't know.
You really thought about it for a second.
I did. I was like, why? Oh. Oh my God. Well, you know what? Well done. Nicely done. It is a fun. It is like an auto runner, right? So you're always going, and you have to get to the exit, and there's like different obstacles in the way, and you get more superpowers as you go. Like you get the ability to like wall jump after a while, where you normally just start off like jumping, which is interesting. It's a fun little game. It's like $5 on the PlayStation Store. I'm sure you can get it on Xbox and PC too, but it's a nice little indie game.
It's the Switch. I want it on the Switch.
It may be. It very well may be on the Switch. I don't know if they have a physical though. I will say that. So
I don't know. I don't have a physical.
Yeah. So what have you been playing, Dan?
I've been chipping away at Knack.
Knack, baby. That's right.
On PS4, I'm still chipping away. I refuse to play Knack 2 until
and so you got to get through all the story elements. Come on, man.
I'm in World 9-2 right now. So
I think you're pretty close.
And I hope.
I think you're pretty close.
I hope. Mm-hmm. I need to dedicate time. You know what it is? Because if you lose, or you because Knack is like three hits and you're dead, right?
Right.
You can have like 7 enemies you got to face. So you really got to keep jumping and keep moving. You can't be stagnant. And the enemies be throwing weapons and shooting. And the save system sucks, right? Because if you die, they take you all the way back. So,
well, it's old school. It's old school game.
I hope they fix that in Knack 2.
Yeah, right. Well, we'll see. And by the time you're done with Knack 2, Knack 3 will be out. So
that'll be nice.
You'll be good.
It's going to be a system sell on a PS5.
Yeah.
So, I've also been playing Control.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if I'm going to beat this game, and I love.
It's tough.
It's not that it's tough. I love having the force powers, but I hate spooky games. I'm not a spooky game person.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, talking about ramping it up right away, like it gets right into it.
And you got these. It's more creepy than spooky, right? I guess.
Yes.
I mean, what's the difference? It's like spooky to me is like Resident Evil 7.
Sure.
Right? But this is more creepy, where it's like dark set pieces, and you got floating bodies that turn into enemies, and I will say I made it to a boss battle. I almost beat him, but I made a stupid move because the stupid cover system is stupid, I know we talked about how stupid the cover system is.
It's not great, and they don't actually tell you until a little bit in after you fought a bunch of enemies. Oh yeah, here's how you duck and crouch behind things. I was like, I don't think it's in this game, and then they're like, oh, here's how you do this. I'm like, what?
I almost beat him, and I made a stupid decision to run left, and I didn't know there were like little like mini enemies, guys that are floating around. I thought I got them all, and there was like one guy, he was there and just shot me dead.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me all the way back. You would think it would take me outside of like the boss battle area. It took me all the way back to the last checkpoint. That I do not like. You know how much I hate. I mean, it's not like I cut the game off and cut it back on. It's okay. Well, I'm dead. All right. Well, bring me back. I'll make sure I'll cover better. No, it took me all the way back to the checkpoint. So it's like I got to go through this maze to get back to the boss battle. So I don't like that part, and it's already a creepy game. So I'm gonna be honest. I'm probably not gonna finish this game.
All right.
Give me an RPG. Give me a Breath of Fire.
Wow. Dan, do you know what you're saying right now? I don't think you know what you're saying.
Listen. If it was a choice to play a Resident Evil game or a Final Fantasy game, I would pick Final Fantasy 1,000 times over.
Jesus.
Okay. That's how much I am not into creepy, spooky horror games. Not my thing. Yeah. Even though if I had to choose between Resident Evil and Control or any spooky game, I would pick Control or Resident Evil 6 because it's definitely a lot more action based compared to like Resident Evil 1. But not my cup of tea. So I'll try to give it a college try again.
Yeah, all right.
But, not my thing.
Okay.
So been playing that. Been playing Borderlands 3. I cracked it open, have it on Xbox One. It's just more Borderlands. It's more Borderlands.
It is 100% more Borderlands.
Not a big fan of running out of bullets.
Right.
You gotta keep looking. I thought it would be a billion guns falling from the sky. It's really not. You gotta look in lockers and chests. You have to. It's not a precision shooter. Again, it's more Borderlands. It's not Call of Duty. You gotta stick and move. You can't sit here and try to get a headshot. Just keep moving. Always moving. Always reloading and trying to find bullets. So I would rather go back to that than play Control. To be honest. So I'll probably play a little bit more Borderlands. I've been playing Ukulele in the Impossible Lair.
Nice.
On the Xbox One. It is as hard as it is tough. It's a tough platformer. It's Donkey Kong tough. And it makes sense why it's Donkey Kong tough.
Is it like Donkey Kong in the playstyle or just Donkey Kong difficult?
Both, because these are the ex guys from Rare who made the original Donkey Kong Country games.
Mm-hmm.
So it is Donkey Kong tough. It gets tougher and tougher as you go along. I'm not a big fan of like when you're traversing through the hub world. That's like a game in itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into you find like a stage and you go into the stage. So it's like two games in one. Not a big fan of the hub world, just like in Kingdom Hearts. I'm not a fan of the rocket. I'm not a fan of that going.
It wasn't definitely the weakest part of that game. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
Same here, in my opinion. Just put me into the different levels and let's go.
Right.
So I just want a platform. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want to do. But I don't like. I played this game. I tried to like this game. I don't like Code Vein at all. Code Vein. I got it on Xbox One. I got it for Black Friday. Really super cheap. I played. It's like Astro Chain meets Dark Souls. It's like the skin of Astro Chain. That's Dark Souls, and it's unforgiving, and it sets you all the way back at the checkpoint, all the way back. Not a fan. I played an hour and I said, I am good. I'm done. Not my type of game.
Ooh.
So I needed to do something different. I needed to switch it up a little bit.
Right.
And boy, I did. I went from Code Vein to Pokemon Sword and Shield on the Switch.
Code Vein to Pokemon Sword and Shield. Wow. I'm glad you cracked it open, and I'm glad you tried that game.
Well, both. I played both. I played an hour of Sword and about 3 hours of Shield.
Well, they're the same game, just different monsters.
The same,
but
yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Essentially, when I cracked open Shield, I played the same hour I played in Sword. It was the same thing over.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just have different like a handful of different Pokemon in each one.
And are you done with the game now, or are you going to continue and beat the game?
I don't know if I'll beat the game, but I'll periodically come back to it. It's not bad. It's you're training your Pokemon, you're training for battles.
Mm-hmm.
The story, not my thing. I'm not big on the story, but I do like the battles. I like when you win, it powers up all your Pokemon. So all your Pokemon level up.
Oh yeah, that's actually one of the newer things that they started to do. Everyone gets experience. I think your main Pokemon gets the most experience, and everybody else gets like some experience. Yeah.
So, and I like the fact that, I mean, again, I've played other Pokemon games a little bit. Again, Pokemon's just not our jam. I can safe to say, but I like when you're like going through the grass, you see the little indicator, and I can just pass by them. I don't have to get caught up in a random battle.
Right.
So I really dig that. I haven't gotten to any of the real hard parts. To me, I feel like I'm still training, but it's pretty. Listen, it's not bad. It's an acquired taste. I'm 100%, 1,000% not going back to Code Vein, but I'll definitely go back to Pokemon Shield at this point, just because I played the most of Shield, and I don't want to play the same thing over again in Sword. So, but I really been digging. I really went back to River City Girls on the Switch, and I really dig it. I really like that game. It's tough though. It gets a little bit harder as you go on, right? Especially those boss battles. That's something we need to play co-op, like we did with Double Dragon 4.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got the game, man. We can totally make that happen.
We need to play co-op on that. So, yeah, I've been playing a lot of games, and I expect next week that maybe have played a lot more games too. I'm trying to, before we get to the holidays, and I have the following week off too. So I want to get a lot of games in, especially when we talk about Game of the Year at some point later in the month. So I've been playing a lot of games recently, and you're gonna hear me say I play a lot of games.
Yeah. So, before we end up going to break, right? We do want to mention that we have a couple of contests going on right now. One of those is our Pokemon Sword and Shield contest. So, if you own a Nintendo Switch and you are interested in Pokemon Sword or Shield, or actually both of those games, we're giving away one copy for the Switch. The secret code for that game this week is Pokemon Go. So, if you want to enter, send us that code via DM, private message us on social media, or email us at info@ratedg4gamers.com for entry. Note that you can enter once per episode, and we will be dropping codes all December long. So good luck to everyone who enters. And also, because it's December, and in the spirit of the holidays, we will be giving away free stuff. Stocking stuffers, if you will, on Twitter. Each week, we have a brand new contest and a brand new prize. And this week, we have 1 month of Xbox Live Gold, right? So what you got to do is follow us. Make sure to like this particular post on our Twitter at RatedG4Gamers and retweet for a chance to win. Good luck to everyone who enters there as well.
So why don't we take a break? When we come back, we get into the top gaming news of last week. And we're back. All right, why don't we get into the top gaming news of last week? We have to start off with our lead story, and that is the Xbox Scarlett.
Oh, boy.
Now, we've talked a lot about the PS5. We talked a lot about the PS5 because we got all these leaks, all these rumors, and Sony finally came out and discussed, the next PlayStation will be called PS5. Right. I called it.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I called it.
You did. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Dan. You made the obvious pick of the next PlayStation console from PS4 is going to be PS5. It's good.
It's called the DualShock 5. Okay?
Yeah.
Wait till they announce that. I'll be 2 for 2, baby. But we haven't heard much about the Scarlett, right? Only person that's talked about the Scarlett is Phil Spencer, who I love. He's my favorite at this point right now. He's my favorite video game, like the face of video game, right?
Right.
Like he's my favorite.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So there's some stories coming out there that not, other than first party, other than like, in-house first parties, a lot of other studios don't have dev kits. We haven't seen any leaks because they don't have any dev kits.
Yeah, right. We've seen the weird boomerang ventilated PS5 dev kit. That's been kind of floating around a little bit.
But somebody said that they speculated that Microsoft is sort of holding it close to the chest because they have like a secret weapon, like they want to surprise everybody, even Sony, with like a secret feature. But Jason Schreier sort of debunked that and said, Jason Schreier of Kotaku, he's like, really, one of the top journalists in video games.
Mm-hmm.
He said he heard Microsoft is behind schedule. Scarlett's behind schedule right now, and they're gonna have to rush. They're gonna have to rush those dev kits at some point early next year, which gets me a little bit worried. And I'll tell you why. They have all these studios who, first party studios they bought up. They have like, they bought like 50 studios, and I'm sure those studios have dev kits, and those are close to the vest, right? When it's an in-house studio.
Yep.
All these leaks are probably coming from third parties, right? So, but what happens when Scarlett launches? It can't be the Halo machine, as you call the original.
It was the Halo machine, man.
It can't.
For a while, it was the Halo machine.
This can't be the Halo Infinite machine, right? Like they need.
I mean, that's a strong launch title, man. Everyone knows the Halo brand now.
It is, but you're gonna have to have those supplementary games to go with it.
Yeah, you'll have all the in-house studios, right? Microsoft alone, if every one of those studios was, firing on full blast, and they have the dev kits, right? Because Microsoft's like, we can trust you. We know you're not gonna leak because you're part of the family. It's fine. If there was like 12 games, including like Halo Infinite, that were like in-house games, and they had time to like put some love into those games, it'd be amazing.
I know, but realistically, from what everyone's saying, that all those studios aren't ready, right? They have games.
Yeah,
that's why a lot of those studios they're putting out games. They're going multi-platform because they were already in the works, right?
Right,
So
exactly. So it's not going to be the exclusive for the system, sadly, but.
And I'm sure the sports games would be easier to port, right? At some point, I mean, if you're making it for PS5, by all accounts, PS5 and Xbox have similar architecture,
right? Just like the PS4 and the Xbox One had, right?
So I'm just a little worried for the Scarlett because if Jason Schreier is correct and it's behind schedule, that makes me a little worried that dev kits won't really go out until less than a year than its launch. It's like, what games are we going to get? They're going to be more so porting games to the Scarlett compared to making games for the Scarlett ground up to take advantage of the features. So they're going to be a little behind in the games, I think, at first. I think PlayStation 5 may come out of the gate swinging, and Xbox will be more of a marathon than a sprint, where we're not going to really see good games made for it from the ground up until 2021.
Oh, well, you never get good games at launch, right? Like Halo was a fluke, and Halo Infinite is something that they've been like, all right, we're gonna make this next Halo game, right? It's already been like 2-3 years since the last one, at least 4 years. I think it was 2015, maybe, that the last Halo came out. It's been a while since Halo 5, so they're like, look, we want this to be a thing, but console launches notoriously have very average games, right? No matter what, because no one knows the architecture that well. Obviously, they haven't, put the game out in the wild yet, so it usually takes like a good year or two before they really like harness the system and they really show its full potential, right? So I don't know.
Well, the funny thing is, we've seen all these leaks with PS5.
Right.
There is one person we know that has a Scarlett that's playing the Scarlett, and that's Phil Spencer.
Oh, well, of course.
Apparently, he's been playing the Scarlett at home. He has
That's
the
crazy.
Scarlett. So if you're playing Phil Spencer online, just know you're playing against an Xbox Prime, as we're going to call it, because that's what it's going to be called, the Prime.
Of course, it's going to be the Prime, man. I mean, how could it not be? It just it makes sense in their whole like numbering system and whatnot. It's 360, it's Xbox One, right? It's this whole big circular thing. Prime is number one, best console.
Well, one of the reasons they're saying that the Scarlett's behind schedule is because Microsoft has pivoted, and they once said they were going to do 2 consoles at launch, and then they took that back and said they're not going to do 2 consoles at launch. But now all the speculation is ramping up that they will do 2 consoles at launch. It will be like one powerful Scarlett system, and then sort of like an Xbox One SAD, an Xbox X, Xbox SAD.
Right.
Which would be a cheaper diskless Scarlett edition. That would be sort of ramped down a little bit too. So if the Scarlett has 20 teraflops, right, the diskless one would be like 18 teraflops. So it would be slightly underpowered, and it would be diskless. That could be the reason why dev kits have been slow to go out. That's one speculation.
Possibly, yeah, possibly.
I'm not gonna lie. I bought an Xbox One SAD.
Yeah.
And the only games I'm not buying games, but I have this big library of Xbox Live, Xbox Gold games.
Well, they give you 2 free ones a month. If you've been getting all of those games, yeah, you're gonna have a big library.
For years. So I have all these games I can play at my disposal. And you have Games Pass, which is a good value, which I may
it's a great
invest
value,
in. It's only $10 a month, and you can download those games and play. This may be a good look for them to do it. I won't buy it.
But it kind of like, if you can make like a Switch Lite, right? You can make a budget friendly option or a digital only option, which probably a better way to say it, right? For people who don't want the disc, which is becoming more and more the thing, right? I just want to get the game as soon as possible. I want to download it, right? If you live in a major metro area and you have good internet speeds, you're probably going to want the digital console, right? Because who cares about the disc? Like, we do, because we're kind of collectors, and, there are still some people out there who are holding strong on the physical front, but the trend is going towards, just put it in the pipe, give me the game now, right? If they can get the plants up and running, and they can get, the form factor together, and they can crank out units quickly, and they have the resources to do it, it makes sense, right? How much, like $50, $100 cheaper than the one with the disk drive? Why not? We're going to be getting the $400 or $500 model, but there's be a lot of people I think that would want the $300 model or whatever the price is. I'm just throwing numbers out there. Who knows? But
that makes sense. And hopefully the Scarlett dev kits will get out in time and get games at launch.
Yeah, I mean, it's
decent games at least.
It's still like a year away. Like, even as we're talking about it, right? Launch is going to be mid to late November, most likely.
Well, they said all the rumors are that they're ramping up that the PS5 will be early December launch.
Right.
So that leaves all of November for the Scarlett to sit by itself, right? Because I don't think the Scarlett's going to launch in November with the PS5. If anything, it would be delayed. If that, after the holidays, because I don't think Phil Spencer would rush it. If that's the case.
I mean, you can't do it like Sega did with the Saturn.
Oh no. But just like speaking of PlayStation, as of when you're listening to this, the state of play, you probably already know what's going on. They already announced the release date for the PS5, the PS5 launch titles. But as of this recording, they just announced State of Play will be coming out. Some surprise State of Play, the last State of Play of the year, coming out in December 10th, Tuesday.
It's interesting because this kind of butts up right next to, like, Thursday, I believe, is the Game Awards, right?
Yes.
And it ends up like butting up against the Game Awards. So what is Sony ready to show? They got to have some new stuff in there, right?
Ghost of Tsushima, we got to get a release date. I'm going to tell you this.
Right, cuz everyone knows about that game. That game has been in the works for a while. It's one of the big 4. It's like that and The Last of Us are the ones that haven't come out yet, right? The other ones have come out.
Yes, The Last of Us is delayed now to Christmas 2.
Right.
Late in Christmas 2. I think we got to get a release date for Ghost of Tsushima. I don't think Ghost of Tsushima is a launch title for the PS5. I think Ghost of Tsushima will be the last hurrah, and I think it's going to come out in September. To be honest, I think that's going to be a September game.
Nah, really that late? Really that late? You don't think it's going to be a summer game?
No,
it could very well be a summer game, man.
No, it's not going to be a summer
game.
It
could be that Witcher 3 launch.
I don't think it's going to be a summer game.
Yeah.
If the PS5s come out in December, we need something to hold us over, tie us over, and I think.
That's what the summer game is all about. It's going to be a dry summer.
I think it's going to be a super dry. It's going to be. We got a lot of games coming out between January and May, right? Like a lot.
Yeah. And then it's
a lot of blockbuster games.
That's right.
Coming out, right? So I think in September, like September, October will be that sweet spot. I think Ghost of Tsushima is going to come out. It's going to come out right for PS4 owners.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, all of this will be backwards compatible on the PS5. But I think I think this is gonna be like a mid-September release. So that they'll show that. I think we're gonna definitely get a trailer for The Last of Us Part 2, just to remind us it was delayed, and we'll get some indie game love. I don't think they're gonna mention the PS5 at all. I think they've even no. I take that back. I know they're not gonna mention it because they said it in the release that they're not gonna mention next gen.
Right.
So they're not gonna mention any next gen.
We'll
see games. We'll see some VR games, but I think Tsushima is what they're gonna really showcase.
PS5 by all accounts is going to be announced in greater detail, if anything, in the event early next year, right?
I think they announced the PS4 in February of 2013, so maybe we'll get an official announcement with specs, but we won't see the console.
Well, they have that big event. Something's got to be announced there.
Yeah,
they can't just be like, "Hey guys, don't you love PlayStation?" I'm like, "Yeah, what do you got? Don't you love PlayStation?" Like, they gotta say something about it.
So we'll get the specs, and then and E3 we'll see the box. I think the reveal of the box will be at E3.
So. Yeah,
but wildly speculated that's going to be at the State of Play it's something that it's at this point a foregone conclusion because Sony already leaked it. The Sony store already leaked the box art for Resident Evil 3 remake.
Yep. Came up in the store. Oops, they let it out a little bit early by accident. And this is actually great because this is the last game. Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 were the last two games not to be remade, up-resed, redone, whatever you want to call it, right?
Ported. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So every game has had a port or a remake or whatever to current gen, right? 1 through 6 minus 3. They ended up redoing. So this is like the last one. It is a very good game, if a bit similar to 1 and 2, right? It didn't add a lot of new stuff to it. But it's still a very fun game.
You got Nemesis.
You did have Nemesis, and you did have options. You could go like in different branching paths, and different things would happen. Nemesis would show up at random times, right? It was kind of like Mr. X and 2. He'd show up randomly, which is kind of neat. But it's Jill and Carlos. Those are the two protagonists of this game. So we got Jill from the first Resident Evil, Carlos, brand new dude. I don't think he appeared in any other Resident Evils. So he's a little bit of a deep cut.
And just, everyone is thinking that Sony leaked this by accident, but I think this was done by design.
Possibly.
It's not a coincidence that sort of right after that they announced the State of Play.
Right.
Right. And it just made. I think they teased it so everyone was like, "Oh my god, the State of Play!" And then, it's the State of Play. Like the State of Play must be like something really good, something worthwhile. And all the State of Plays have gradually gotten better and better, right? So.
Oh yeah,
The first one,
they kind of found their footing.
All the way to the last one that was really good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they found their footing and they got the pacing right and all that. Like they're pretty enjoyable. They're bite sized. Like you're in and out in like 20 minutes, right? It's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
Less than 20 minutes, not even.
Yeah.
So, but with that said, a game that won't be at State of Play, but we know it's not going to be at State of Play because they're not going to mention any next gen stuff. But it will probably be in a State of Play or E3.
Right.
and that is Marvel Spider-Man 2.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now we know I told you Marvel Spider-Man was an amazing game. They probably should have delayed it. They probably should have, and I have the special edition all the DLC.
Yeah.
They probably should have delayed it until this year, because then it would have been running for Game of the Year. Because with Red Dead 2 and God of War, it wasn't going to win.
Correct.
And all the games that got delayed until next year, they're probably kicking themselves that they should have came out this year, because they would have wiped the floor with everything. Because there were really no mega hitters this year, in my view. Right. This year was a sort of a lull year, which makes sense, because 2020 is the end of this generation, where you really good games at the end of the generation, and we got the start of the next generation. But that's a side note. Marvel Spider-Man 2, I can't wait for it. I can't wait to hear, can't wait to see and play where they're going to take the story. The sort of reports are that it's coming out in 2021, right? So if it's going to be a holiday of the year after next, and this comes from Erman Khan, who formerly a Game Informer, who now works at Kinda Funny, which is a big coup for Kinda Funny, because he's a great journalist.
Oh yeah,
I still love his stuff on.
He's a damn good dude.
He said he knows too much about this game, but all he can say is it's probably coming sooner than later, probably 2021. So if he says that, I'm taking it to the bank, because he said earlier this year, when he was still a Game Informer, that he knows too much about Zelda, and all he can say is it's probably going to be a new Zelda game that's going to come out this year. And it was. We got a Zelda game. We got Link's Awakening. So he was totally correct on that note.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it is coming out 2021, that means same game engine, right? So they can just kind of like take the same game world and all that, and just add like a new story around it, right? Add new enemies, add new gameplay features, right? Build on top of what already works, because that's like a pretty quick turnaround time, right? Came out what
3 years, because it came out last year. It came out in 2018. So
it did. Well, then they have to support it with DLC and this and that. They got to have a crew that's still kind of working on like bug fixes, putting out patches. And then they go like full on Spider-Man 2.
Remember, since it released, Sony has purchased Insomniac, so now they're in-house, so they have access to all their resources.
Yes, they do.
I'm sure they had a small team working on DLC,
right?
Which was done midway this year.
Yep.
And then you
transition fully on Spider-Man 2, right?
So. Yeah. Well, again, my only issue with Spider-Man the game is I couldn't go to my job, because they didn't really flesh out New York for all the details.
Yeah, right.
They must put 3rd Avenue. I'm sorry if you're listening. Please add 3rd Avenue. So I can see my job.
Oh. Hey, maybe they will in the sequel. Who knows?
This hurts my heart, Dave.
Oh, why, Dan?
Transition for this.
Why, Dan? But yet, here it is. There is no transition, but here is the transition.
What's probably never going to be in any state of play.
Yeah.
Is the next Sony handheld, because by all accounts, Sony is no longer interested in making handheld consoles.
Yeah, they've kind of more or less been saying that. The PS Vita was 2012. Yeah, there's been no talk, nothing about a new console, which is sad, because, the PSP was amazing. The Vita was good, definitely had a lot of good games on it, but, I thought they were kind of like powering through, and they're like, nah, Nintendo's got this in the bag.
The Vita's still selling in Japan.
I mean, a little bit, sure, but it's not selling here. Nobody's buying it here.
They still sell like 10 to 15,000.
No, I don't know if it's that much anymore. It was that the last time we looked up, but I don't know.
It's still.
No, it doesn't sell here though. It doesn't sell here. I know you're trying to fight. For another Sony console, but I think they know that Nintendo's got this in the bag.
So last week, your heart was broken. Xbox will not be having a VR system.
I know.
They're not interested in it. And now my heart's broken, because they said there's not going to be any more handhelds. But I think they're wrong. I think at E3 2021, they're going to announce.
Oh, yeah?
Do one more thing.
Oh, yeah?
PSP 2.
Oh, yeah?
Skip the Vita.
Do you want to make a Shake Shack bet in it? Even though they said we're not going to make another handheld console.
Listen, Listen.
Yeah. Are you going to make it one of your predictions?
Nintendo said there were no hardware revisions coming this year, and we got 2 new Switches this year.
I don't know if they specifically said that year, but
technically, so I'll make a White Castle bet on it.
Make a White Castle bet on it? No, come on now. Shake Shack. It's Shake Shack or nothing.
Chick-fil-A, I'm about to get Chick-fil-A
sandwich. Four pack and fries. And speaking of delicious sandwiches, I had the Popeyes chicken sandwich. Ooh, very tasty.
It is, but it made me sick. I got
what?
it for the first time. And
I don't know. I think you get a bad batch of chicken. I don't know, man.
Bad batch of chicken.
Chicken.
Sauce.
It's mayo, some pickles on there. It's great.
I had the spicy one.
So did I.
It tastes good.
Yeah.
I had like a stomach ache.
Man.
Like later that night. So.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm. So, let's transition to the Game Awards. The Game Awards.
That's right.
This week.
Yep, coming up this Thursday.
We gave our predictions last week. So if you want to listen to our predictions, listen to last week's episode. We gave our predictions. I can't wait. I love the Game Awards. One day, we have to go.
Game Awards are great, man.
We have to go to the Game Awards.
I would love to go. Jeff Keighley, if you're listening, we would love some guest passes. So hook us up.
Just so you know, every year since they dropped the whole Spike TV Video Game Awards, because they own that name, so he has to do Game Awards.
Yeah, it's
gotten progressively better, right? Just like the state of play, it's gotten progressively better.
Like year after year, it gets even better and better. And you know, the
Shake Razor mascot was a low point.
Well, that's just they have to fund it somehow, right?
They could have did.
It wasn't better. It wasn't great. It was bad, but if it funds the Game Award, the Game Awards, and puts allows it to have a professional level of production value, then I'm okay with that. I'll take a dancing razor.
So, the Game Award. First of all, my only issue with the Game Awards is it should be in January.
And it shouldn't have a Chick Razor dancing around.
You know what? If you want to have 2 Chick dancers, mascots, that's fine. Just make sure
make it in January.
Make it in January so you can get all the games.
Right, exactly. Because now we have this bananas it goes from December to December as opposed to December to the end of November. Right, it goes instead of January to December.
No. It's December to the first week of November, I think.
Oh, to the first
because
week?
Jedi Fallen Order is not nominated for anything.
Oh, it
didn't qualify.
It's so weird. Just make it January to December.
Just think about it. Next year, Jedi Fallen Order probably will be in contention for Game of the Year, but it will be in contention for Game of the Year with probably Marvel's Avengers and Cyberpunk and The Last of Us Part 2. It should be. It came out this year. It should be in contention this year. But I digress.
Right.
I digress. We do love the Game Awards. The Game Awards, we always get a lot of indie game love, and we get a couple of, maybe a handful, not even a hand, less than a handful of actual like big game announcements.
Yep.
But Jeff Keighley did say that it would be 10 new game announcements, games, not games that you've already heard of. So
and they haven't been leaked yet. So Resident Evil 3 is out of the running. That is not going to be announced at the Game Awards, according to Jeff Keighley.
Yeah,
which is insane.
Bayonetta 3, we know is in production, so that doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
It's 10 games that we don't know of.
That is right. So curious to see. Maybe we'll get another game from the crazy No Way Out developer who made Brothers: A Tale, right? Which was also a fantastic game. Yeah, it was great. That was a really good experience. I was very happy with that. Who knows what we're gonna see there? But I am definitely super hyped for this.
I think we're gonna get one, because we got Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3 last year.
That's right. That's right.
So we did that was held close to the vest. I think we're gonna get one more. I think we'll get one major game that we've never heard of, and then a bunch of 9 indie games that are gonna be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't wait to watch the Game Awards.
Yeah.
So a game that probably not going to be announced at the Game Awards or win any awards at the Game Awards.
God.
It wasn't even nominated at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
That's WWE 2K20.
Oh, the dumpster fire. My God.
A game that was on sale for $30.
Yep.
Black Friday, which was about $29 too much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to wait until this is in the bargain bin at GameStop for $2. Then I'll buy it.
Yeah,
the
man.
Game did
I
bad.
I'm so curious to play this.
The game did so bad that people are quitting. Okay, people are quitting 2K over this. A lot of devs are leaving.
Yeah.
There's a fear that 2K is going to cut the budget, and 2K, the next 2K21 is either going to be a disaster or not even come out at all.
No. See, it shouldn't come out. They're doing it wrong, right? They had a big PR blunder, right? They put this game out. They're not handling the backlash very well. They put out like one or two patches that said fixed a bunch of things and didn't fix those things. They need to take the loss, take the L, do what EA is doing, and don't put out NBA Live, right? Don't put a game out in 2021 and say we're going to rebuild this stuff from the ground up and make a whole new game engine, all new assets, because this Vicarious Visions or whatever it is, or Visual Concepts or whoever's coming in there, like, came in midstream to finish up 2K20, and they're like, we don't know what the hell's going on. This thing is a shit show, right? They need they need time. Wait and then put out 2022, and you'll get a good game. And fans will be like, "Oh wow, this is a good wrestling game again. I'm gonna go ahead and play this." Because
but Ukes, it's been a disaster since Ukes left.
Well, yeah, because like part of the reason Ukes left is because there was tension between them and 2K, right? And has been building, and they couldn't handle the pressure for one. They couldn't handle the yearly release. It was a bad time apparently.
So hopefully 2K is just like WWE. They have AEW now to push them to do better.
They need an AEW wrestling game to compete.
Yeah, I think Ukes is in the works for the AEW wrestling game, because there is a AEW. They've alluded to it. AEW has, I should say.
Right.
We know nothing about it. We don't know who's doing it, but it would be apropos if it was Ukes that was working on a good AEW game, something different, and then WWE and 2K, they still have that, WWE 2K21 is a disaster, and they're gonna have to go back to the well and do something better, right? They'll push them to do something good. Because remember, what if Ukes puts out a AEW game even on a Switch and it works, right? 2K couldn't put out a game on a WWE game on a Switch that worked. They just skipped this year. Last year sucked.
I know.
So, but talking about games on a Switch, I'm gonna go back to Mario Maker 2.
Yep.
Only because since now there's a free update that came out, you get to play as Link.
Oh, nice.
And it's not just a skin. It's not just a skin. You get the Master Sword. You turn into Link, and you can do the dash, and you get the bow and arrow. So you can, if you got a coin that's up there and you can't reach it, you just
you shoot it with the arrow.
Oh, that is so awesome.
You get to throw bombs and whatnot too. It's more than just a reskin. Yeah, like you were saying. Now the question is,
it's only an 8-bit though. That's it. It's only an 8-bit version.
Right.
In any of the other Mario version.
So do you think that this is kind of testing the water to see would people want a Zelda Maker? Is this kind of like, hey, let's see how this does and whatnot? Maybe this is first baby steps.
Yeah, I think the baby steps came in Link's Awakening when they had the Dungeon Maker.
That too, right? It was a very kind of crude version of what could be, right?
So I think they're throwing out breadcrumbs to see the reaction, right? And people thought the Dungeon Maker was okay, but it needed more.
Yeah,
I think they didn't give us more because they were holding back the good stuff to make a game.
Yeah. I think you could basically do like three styles. You could do the original, the Super Nintendo, and the Link's Awakening style, because those are like the three big top-down ones, and maybe Link Between Worlds, right? That would be like your fourth style, and that would be enough.
I don't think we're gonna get the big. I think because they need to leave room for Zelda Maker 2.
Well, yeah, true. So That's true. What are you gonna say for the sequel?
I think we would get an 8-bit Link and sort of like Link's Awakening, style Link, cartoony, more cartoony Link, and it would be all dungeons, no hub. and I think we would get that.
Oh yeah, right. Because then you'd be basically building a whole entire game.
Yeah, so I think
it would just be a dungeon maker. Yeah.
I think we would get that to start with, and then we're gonna be like, oh my god, this is great. And then at the end of the Switch life cycle, and we'll get a big Zelda Maker 2, right? It'll be like a big thing. And like, I know if you like the 8-bit one, you like the cartoony one, you're gonna get this whole thing, and you get to make dungeons the way you want it, and you'll make this whole up world, and we'll get the Zelda Breath of the Wild style as well, right? So I think
Breath of the Wild style.
I think the first Zelda Maker may just be 8-bit, and maybe the cartoony one and dungeons and just to see what the response is, and then they'll build upon that. So that kind of makes sense. And I would want that too. Give me that. So let's end with this is sad faced emoji right here. It's sad face for everyone who actually paid money and backed this on Indiegogo, because I'm so relieved and so happy I didn't, because I almost did. I was curious. I was hyped, because who doesn't want to play Centipede in 4K? And that's for Atari VCS, which was once called Atari Box. That's how bad they were bad at naming this atrocity.
Yeah, no, VCS sounds a lot better.
Yeah, this thing has been around for like what, two years. It's been sitting around.
Yeah, almost as long as we've been doing the podcast.
I know, and it's been delayed for backers until later in 2020.
Yeah.
The biggest shame is the pricing, because you can get the console, but it doesn't come with any controllers at all, and the controllers are expensive. So
wait a minute, I thought you got the little joystick with the one button.
Even if you did, I don't think so. I think so.
That's terrible.
I think it's all sold separately.
Yeah, well, it's terrible. You gotta pack in one controller at least, especially for like this like Atari console. Like, come on now. I'm just like, they're still coming out. It's like, why? Yeah, I mean, they've purportedly sunk a lot of money into it, right? They've had a revision. They got to get it out there, but $250 for this thing? Ugh, I think it's down from $300, if I remember correctly. The gamepad and joystick are for $50 and $60, right? Which is crazy. That's insane. Yeah, this thing, the shell does look super cool. Who knows if that's going to even be the final version of it, right? Because I heard they had to go back and redo it because it was like very difficult to make that molding, right? Because they wanted to make it retro with like the black and the wood grain on it. Yeah, it's terrible. I'm definitely not getting it anytime soon. I know you're not getting it anytime soon, Dan.
Well, you can get it you can still get it at Walmart or GameStop, and they're only going to sell the bundles.
Oh, really?
Controllers, which makes sense. Mm-hmm. All right. I'll just wait until this fizzles out, and it'll be a fire sale. It'll be a fire sale on either Walmart, probably Walmart.
Right.
Like, hey, you want this Atari VCS? $30. And I'm like, all right, I'll pick it up. I'll take it off your hand. Mm-hmm. Because it looks nice.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess on that note, we're gonna wrap up episode 196. We do want to say we definitely feel bad for all the Indiegogo backers. Hopefully they get their consoles. We wish them all the best because they put money into this project and they want to see it succeed, and so do we. But that wraps things up. Remember that we do have 2 contests running right now, right? We have the one for Pokemon Sword and Shield, and we did drop a code in this episode. So if you missed it, go back and take a listen. And also, we dropped the code last week, so if you haven't entered either of those codes, we'll go back and listen to the rest of this episode and go back and listen to last week's episode too for that code. And also hit us up on Twitter if you are in need of an Xbox Gold Live membership, 1 month free. You can get that on there. So please do all that. And if you want to interact with us, and we know that you do, like sending us those codes, you can do so, and you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Rated G for Gamers. So please listen, like, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
keep gaming.